The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are simply that, opinions. All are presumed innocent until proven otherwise in a court of law. Sensitive topics are discussed. Discretion is advised.
Tonight on Closing Arguments. In St. Lucie County, Florida, a jury found Jose Soto Escalera guilty of the murders of his mistress, Tanya Wise, and their unborn child. Now, Jose is back in the courtroom fighting for his life as the penalty phase of his trial unfolds. Will the jury spare his life or recommend he be sentenced to death? In Memphis, Tennessee, the trial of Brandon Isabel, a man accused of murdering his girlfriend and then tossing their 2-day-old baby into the Mississippi River. According to investigators, Brandon admitted to killing baby Kennedy and her mother because he didn't want a child. And today, the victim's mother takes the stand. But first, in Riley, Mississippi, Jeffrey Spence is on trial accused of murdering his daughter's boyfriend during a robbery. Prosecutors say he plotted with his wife and their daughter to kill Kirby Carpenter. The defendant's daughter, Caitlin, already pleaded guilty to her part in the plot and will testify against her father as part of a plea agreement. We have the latest from today's proceedings. Good evening and welcome to Closing Arguments. I'm Julia Janae, filling in tonight for Vinnie Politan, and we are following a brand new live trial here on Court TV. This one centers around a Mississippi couple accused of murdering their daughter's boyfriend. So first, we're going to listen to a little bit of what we know about the victim. This is a self-made man, according to the prosecution, Kirby Carpenter. He's described as a businessman who was known to carry large amounts of money around and have a lot of money in his safe. Family members said he would sometimes carry $200,000 to $300,000 in cash, silver or gold at one time. He had different coins. Kirby had also just become a dad in the months leading up to his death, a new dad. And the mother of his second child was this woman, Caitlin Spence. Caitlin would be the one to ultimately find Kirby's body on December 2nd, 2022. And it's Caitlin's parents, Jeffrey and Karen Spence, who were in town around the time that Kirby was killed. They had been living with Kirby for 6 months, all helping with this new baby. And following the death of Kirby, the silver coins that were worth thousands of dollars, they were located inside of Caitlin's dad, Jeffrey's vehicle. And now, all three of the Spence family members have been charged in the case. Prosecutors say that Jeffrey Spence was motivated by money to rob and kill Kirby Carpenter, and he's currently on trial. His wife, Karen, was set to stand trial, but then she pleaded out 1 day before jury selection began in her case. And then their daughter, Caitlin, she pleaded guilty to accessory to murder, and she's expected to take the stand against her father. So to get you the details on this new family affair type case, we have Court TV field reporter Cody Thomas, who's here in studio. Cody, you've been looking into this case all day. Tell us what you know about what we heard today, first day.
Well, Julia, the state's first witness, investigator, and case agent, Deputy Chris McAllister, was on the stand for most of the day, but not before brief openings from both sides. Now, the state said Jeff Spence was financially motivated to kill Kirby Carpenter, but Spence's defense says he wasn't even in the state when the shooting happened. Take a listen.
What was his motive? It's an old story, money, greed. The investigation by the Tippah County Sheriff's Department showed that the security cameras had been disabled. You'll hear evidence about a satchel of money that Kirby commonly carried around, well known, was missing, and the .22 pistol that he commonly carried in his pocket was also missing. Ironically, 1 year later, November 30th of 2023, the Spences were arrested in Virginia by officers from Smith County. They found keys on Mr. Spence to several lockboxes, storage units, etc. And those lockboxes and storage units were searched pursuant to search warrants. And in those lockboxes, we contend were items that belonged to Kirby Carpenter. Jeff Spence had the motive. Jeff Spence pulled the trigger. Jeff Spence murdered Kirby Carpenter. His defense is he wasn't there. We will prove otherwise.
Jeff Spence hasn't killed anybody, and he has chosen, in this case, he selected to be the criminal defendant. This case is based on government theory, not government evidence. There is no evidence, none, zero, that Jeff Spence was at Kirby Carpenter's house on November the 30th. I don't dispute that that's the day he died. I just dispute who did it. One of the things you're going to learn about Kirby Carpenter, you're going to learn a lot more than Mr. Muir told you. He wasn't just a businessman and ex-Marine. He was a drug dealer, and he was a stolen gun runner. We get that from some witnesses right here. And when he was killed on November the 30th, Jeff Spence was with his family, his wife, in Virginia.
Now, Deputy McAllister took the stand after those openings and walked the jury through elements of the investigation, including crime scene photos, graphic images of Kirby's body, and the 911 call made by Kirby's girlfriend and daughter of the defendant, Caitlin Spence. Now, we know Caitlin Spence accepted that plea deal earlier this year to a lesser offense of accessory after the fact in exchange for her testimony against her father. But the prosecution still pointed out her movements the day of the shooting. Now, this Walmart surveillance video was shown in court today, showing Caitlin's black Suburban sitting in the parking lot for about 45 minutes. Now, she arrived to the parking lot at 7:30 that evening. Kirby's last text to her was at 6:37 that evening, a little under an hour beforehand. She left close to 8:15. Somewhere in that window is when investigators say that the shooting happened. Now, here's what Deputy McAllister told the court about what the evidence showed him.
To me, it said, basically somebody was putting the body there where either somebody else would not see it or they wouldn't have to look at it, one of the two.
Okay. What does that suggest to you?
Somebody close had something to do with it.
As
a normal person, I believe if they come rob somebody based on what I've seen over the last 30 years, you're going to kill somebody and rob them and take their stuff. You're going to leave the body laying where it is. You're not going to try to hide the body. You're going to try to get out of there as fast as you can.
Now, Julia, the topic of David Barnes was brought up. Now, he's the man who told police that Caitlin told him that, quote, Daddy killed Kirby, and that Jeff overheard them and said to him, David Barnes, and if you tell anyone, the same will happen to you. Well, after arguments were made outside the jury's presence, this heated exchange right here happened during the deputy's cross-examination about Barnes's credibility. Take a listen.
Caitlin Spence has recently given a statement saying to y'all, when I say y'all, I mean the investigative team, that what David Barnes says was said in the funeral home is a lie.
That's correct.
So you've got one witness saying X and another witness saying, no, it's not X, it's Y. No, it's not true. You've got competing witnesses. Am I right?
Yes, sir, you're correct.
Who do we believe? Who do we believe?
I believe David.
You believe David?
I do.
No, you believe David in spite of the circumstances when he makes the statement telling you for over a year that he didn't know anything.
Yeah, have you watched the video?
I've watched every dadgum one of them. Yes.
Based on his video, I believe he's telling the truth.
Now, Kirby Carpenter's estate attorney took the stand later in the day and told the court about it being documented that people had stolen things from Kirby before, including Jeff Spence. And we also learned today that Caitlin Spence will likely be taking the stand as early as tomorrow as well, Julia.
Oh, Cody, her testimony is going to be huge in this case. Thanks so much for that report. Let's bring in the think tank. We have them here live in studio with us. Family law attorney and law professor Randy Kessler is with us, law professor and criminal defense attorney Meg Strickler, and we have entertainment law attorney and former assistant district attorney in Florida and Georgia, Daryl Cohen. Did I get it right?
You did.
Thank you all for being here. Randy, I got to start with you because this one is a family affair. It sounds like that's what the prosecution says.
They're all family affairs. I mean, geez, what is going on in this world? I mean, this family, was it for money? The only question is going to be, was he going after the money? Did he plan to kill him? Did the death happen because there was a fight? I mean, that's what's going to be, to me, the real issue. I think the case would have been tough to prove because there was no eyewitness until you have the people that are involved saying, you know what, I did it and he did it. You know, you wouldn't turn on somebody and let, you know, she was in it. I mean, the daughter, the wife, they're both saying, yes, we're going to jail, we know it, and he should go to jail. They're not saying, let me out of jail and I'll point the finger at somebody else. They're going down. It's a tough case to win, but yeah,
well, you
these
don't get a
family
deal
dynamics.
if you just point the finger at yourself.
Right.
Right, Meg?
Right.
What do you think about the daughter taking the stand tomorrow? Can she get up there and say something different? She's going to be face-to-face with Dad at that point.
This is channels Wendy Adelson. I just started thinking about the Adelsons. It's another family affair, but yet this one's in Mississippi.
They're all family affairs.
Yeah, they're all family affairs, but they're all being arrested and killing people. It's just getting a little weird when moms and dads and daughters are trying to conspire and do things. It's just was very Adelson-like. But, you know, I think tomorrow's going to be a really good day to hear from Caitlin, and she needs to sound credible. Did she do that deal and then testify against her dad to save her hide, or is she going to tell the truth? I don't know what the truth is.
Yeah, it's almost a question of, was this pre-planned, because we have accessory after the fact for mom and then accessory to murder for daughter. But if this wasn't planned, if this was Dad just flying off the handle, killing, and then there's a cover-up, does that make a difference to you, Daryl?
To the victim, not at all. To everybody else, perhaps. But is it a pre-planned, that is more than just spur-of-the-moment murder? Was it the money? Was it what? We don't know. What we don't know yet is what the daughter's testimony is going to be. Is she going to turn and not testify against her dad? She's already been sentenced. It's going to be a very interesting part of the trial tomorrow that's going to set the path for how it's going to continue on a little bit later.
That is true. Apparently, she's already out from that sentence, so that makes a huge difference. Randy, there's a lot of dynamics here. It's fascinating just to hear the details, because you have this man and woman who are together. Apparently, he's very successful. He's got rental properties. He's got different tractor and supply stores. And he's also got a lot of money laying around in the house, and he lets these parents come live with him.
So I don't think the question is, was it pre-planned? I think the question is, what was pre-planned? Did they pre-plan to get his money and to do something and to put him away? Or did they plan to kill him and take his money? I mean, that's going to be the question. Was it, oh, he died while we were robbing him, and then maybe it was felony murder? But yeah, you know, there's too much stuff going on. When you got your daughter and your wife testifying against you, it doesn't look good.
You're in deep yogurt.
What about David Barnes? So he's a career criminal. He says he overheard this confession at the funeral home where the daughter said, yeah, Daddy took it too far, things got out of hand, and he killed him. Do we believe the career criminal?
You know, I teach evidence, and one of these hypos is just like that. Every single semester is the exact hypo of a career criminal testifying, and whether or not we can bring it in all his prior convictions, too, you know? So it's this real life happening, but in general, the credibility is not there.
And you saw the deputy on the stand shrug a little bit when he was asked, well, who do you believe? Because one witness says, that's a lie, that wasn't heard. Yeah. And then David Barnes says, no, this is what I heard. How do you deal with that if you're a juror?
And we've got that witness saying, have you seen the video? I have, and this is what I believe. It's all going to depend on not just the testimony of one person, but all of the evidence put together as to whether or not the jury finds credibility in any, some, or all.
And the defense lawyer pretty much let the witness tell the story. He said, who do you believe? When you're cross-examining, you don't say, who do you believe? You say, you actually believe that guy, don't you? And you plant some seeds of doubt. But instead, he opened the door and said, and who do you believe? And he said, I believe the guy that's going to get the conviction for me.
He let the officer be the one who was testifying. You're absolutely right.
What do we think about this defense? So the defendant's opening statement was pretty long. He talked about this victim being self-centered and being very independent, didn't want anyone telling him what to do. I'm not sure how that advances the defense, but they did mention it.
Plus, he was out of state, according to the opening statement.
10 hours away.
Oh, my gosh. What does it matter? I always believe less is more. A jury will listen to less because you want to have them with impact, and then give them some sound bites, if you would. The more you tell, the more you say, the more they tune out. Now, this is day number 1, so they're going to be tuned in more than later, but it's going to be very interesting as to how the testimony rolls and the body language and the facial expressions of the witnesses.
No, it's
Don't
going to be
promise
big
things.
with
Don't
Caitlin on the
promise things.
stand. 10 men, 5 women are on this jury think tank is staying with us. We're not going anywhere. We've got more cases that we need to talk about. After this break, we're going to talk about this one where the victim's mother was on the stand. This is one where a baby, 2 days old, was thrown into a river. And the father of that baby is the one that's on trial. Plus, here's what's coming up in the next hour on VPI. Tonight on Vinnie Politan Investigates, Luigi Mangione is accused of shooting United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in the back and is facing multiple charges on the state and federal level. His attorneys want the death penalty off the table. But if he's convicted, should Luigi Mangione be put to death?
Now, back to the Court TV podcast.
She went into labor, and she couldn't drive. She said she couldn't walk. It hurt to walk, so we had to call the ambulance. And I told her I wanted to go with her, but she said Brandon wanted to be there, so she chose Brandon to go. It was COVID back then. You know, only one person could be in a room with you. He got to see him born.
That was April Campbell. She's talking about the day her daughter, Danielle Hoyle, gave birth to her own daughter, Kennedy. April's testimony was that Danielle chose to bring the baby's father, Brandon Isabel, with her to the hospital during her delivery. And that same Brandon Isabel on trial, he is facing charges for allegedly murdering Danielle and their child. Just 2 days later, prosecutors say Brandon shot Danielle and then threw the infant into the Mississippi River. And as you can imagine, this grandmother, April's testimony was extremely emotional. Here's more of what she had to say today on the stand.
Little fast forward, she brings Kennedy home at some point, correct?
Right.
Tell us about that.
It was me and all my kids. I mean, she never got to sit down. Everybody was just holding on, playing with her. We got a few pictures with her. I got to feed her. I got to change her clothes. And then I had to, give her to somebody else because somebody else wanted it.
How long did you get to be with her? How long did you and your family get to be with Kennedy?
Maybe an hour at the most, a little over an hour.
I want to just take your time, April.
Maybe we got her for about an hour, and she was gone.
Where did you learn that she was going?
To see Brandon.
What did you learn was the story that she gave you?
That she was taking Kennedy back to the hospital.
Okay, how did you feel about that?
I actually thought it was true because I had to do it before. Once me and my son made it home, the hospital called and said he should have never been discharged. So I had to take him back. So I didn't know it was a story. Had I known, maybe things would have been different.
Okay, but you felt it was plausible.
Right.
Right. How did it go when Kennedy left? Do you remember, did one of your boys put her in the...
Yes, my son Cornelius took her to the car and strapped her in a car seat. And they left.
Is the car seat that she was in, is that the one that you guys bought her or that
Yes.
Daniel bought? Did y'all have her bundled up?
Yes.
A little bit? Was it cold that night?
It was.
I'm gonna fast forward a little bit again. She's gone for a while, correct?
Right.
Did she call you at some point?
No, I actually called her. I
Okay.
gave her like, I want to say an hour, almost 2.
Okay.
And I called, I asked,
What did you learn about?
she said, I'm here.
Hearsay.
Tell us what you learned about where she was.
She was,
I'm sorry.
She just told me she was getting Kennedy out the car, and she said, "Mom, I'm gonna call you right back." But I dozed off, and she never called. A couple of hours later, a police was pulling in the yard. I thought it was Danielle. So me and my boys were getting up to go help her get the baby out the car. But it was the police, and they were asking me who drove a Chevy Cruze and where was she? And I told them she was gone, she wasn't there. And they were like, they'll be back. And they left, and I actually tried to follow them, but we couldn't keep up. So I just started looking, because I started, at that time, I just panicked. I just started down, calling her phone, and I never got an answer. I called her like, I just kept calling her phone, and I never got an answer. So the police came back a second time, and they asked me to describe my daughter. So I described it, and then they were like, "We got to go again." By that time, I just went to the precinct because we couldn't keep up with them. I went to the precinct on Rains, and when I got there, they locked me in the precinct.
Is this the hat that y'all put on Kennedy when she left to go see Brandon Isabel that night?
Yes.
The car seat that y'all put Kennedy in?
Yes.
When she went to meet Brandon Isabel that night?
Yes.
The last time you saw her was in this car seat?
Yes. Yes.
You saw him put her in the car seat?
Mm-hmm.
How was she doing?
She was fine. She was still warm. I just didn't want her to leave.
And is that the last time that you saw her?
That was the last time we saw her.
Have you seen her since?
No. That's Danielle.
How was Danielle when she left that night with baby Kennedy to go meet Brandon Isabel?
She was happy. She always happy. You'll never get her mad. I mean, she's the sweetest thing ever.
Did you ever see her again after she left that night with Brandon to go see Brandon Isabel?
No.
Heartbreaking testimony. Let's bring in our think tank still with us, Daryl Cohen, Meg Strickler, and Randy Kessler. Meg, just hearing that grandmother talk about her daughter, talk about only being able to hold the baby once.
That breaks my heart. It makes me want to cry even on TV. It is so, so sad. I have a daughter. I have nieces who have kids. I mean, the thought of being able to see that baby, and then this man is saying he threw that baby into the river. I cannot wrap my head around anyone looking at a precious baby that young and being like,
and the allegation here is he didn't want to be a dad. We've got a lot of text messages. He had a girlfriend, he was married and going through a divorce, and he also had a child with the victim.
You can't make a horrible person good. You can't even explain a horrible person's actions. To be the grandmother and to see your daughter and your grandchild dead, you can't imagine how bad it was or would be. I cannot even can't wrap my head around it. I've got 3 daughters, but I just can't do it. And I think any reasonable person on a jury wouldn't be able to do it either. And he or she, more likely than not, will not listen to the testimony. They want to convict him because of who he is and what he probably did. And then the charges will be proved, and then he'll be convicted.
So why are we here? Why are we at a trial?
Shifting away from the emotional arguments, because those aren't legal arguments. The legal argument is whether it's a baby, whether it's a 3-month-old, a 3-day-old, a 2-day-old, murder is murder is murder. You know, the crime is the same. The problem is you can't undo, you can't extract the law from the emotions. And so you could prosecute someone who killed a grown man, a grown woman, a 15-year-old, a 2-day-old. Daryl's right. They're going to the law's going to go in one ear and out the other ear, and they're going to try to find any reason they can to hold this guy accountable.
We're still listening for this confession that the police said they had. That's what we understood from the beginning of this case, was that police say he admitted to doing this. But I wonder, Meg, and I'm going to read you this text that he wrote. We're getting more details today because his girlfriend testified, where the text said, "If you love me like you say, let's end this mistake, Danielle." Danielle being the victim here. He's telling his girlfriend, it sounds like it could go both ways. Either I'm going to end her life, or let's stop talking about the other issues in my life.
He sounds very narcissistic in that text, and abusive and horrible. I don't like any part of that, and I don't think it's okay. I mean, my body, my baby, I mean, back off. And I can't understand the way it's shot in the car and she's found beside the car. I mean, there's nothing about the storyline that can find any defense here. I can't.
But yet, we're at trial, Daryl.
Nothing redeeming about anything that has taken place. And I really believe, and I've done this for a lot of years, that the jury, once they know what he is charged with and how it happened, Randy and I think we're full force together. They're going to convict him regardless of the evidence. But the evidence will be there.
They haven't found the baby.
They're never going to find the baby.
But just thinking about that just makes my brain blow up. I'm just so emotional over it.
So if they don't find the baby and the jury, one member of the jury says, I'm not going to convict because I need proof that somebody died, so they're going to get him on the other stuff, and then sentencing is going to be harsher.
So the girlfriend took the stand today, and there were a lot of questions about her. Listening to the cross from the defense, they asked about whether or not it was the girlfriend sending threatening messages to Danielle before she died. Does that make a difference, and do you think they're trying to claim somebody else did this?
You know, when you got nothing, you use whatever you got, and that's what they got. And you got to give them some alternative theory, because otherwise, why did this happen? Who did this? At least they have that. At least they have that argument. I don't know that if someone on the jury just can't believe that somebody would kill their own, you know, girlfriend and child, then that gives them an alternative explanation. That's the only possible benefit to it. I wouldn't hang my hat on it. Better to have it than not.
That is our purpose in life, though, as a defense lawyer, it has to be proof beyond a reasonable doubt. So in cross-examination, no matter what, we point out the flaws.
Would you be pushing this kind of a client to take a deal or even plead at all? Or do you
So
still
quickly, I don't mean to cut you off. As soon as he came to me, if I was misfortunate enough to represent him, I would be saying, let's see if we can cut a deal to keep you off of death row. Let's try, let's beg, let's plead, let's do anything we can to keep you alive and in prison rather than at the gallows.
Get him out of Daryl's office before he encounters more harm.
Oh, yeah. And in speaking of death row, we have to leave that case there, but it is continuing there inside of that Tennessee courtroom. Our think tank is staying with us. When we come back, we're going to talk about a case that does have a death penalty phase, and that's the case of Jose Soto Escalara, also charged and convicted with the death of an unborn child in that case.
The Court TV podcast will return.
We, the jury, find Jose Soto Escalara as to count 1, guilty of first-degree murder as charged in the indictment. As to count 2, guilty of first-degree murder of an unborn child as charged in the indictment. So say we all, this 19th day of September, 2025.
That was Jose Escalara, Soto Escalara, as the jury handed down the guilty verdicts. This was over the murder of not only his mistress, Tanya Wise, but the second victim in this case was their unborn child. She was 8.5 months pregnant. Now Soto Escalara's trial has entered another phase. That same jury that found him guilty of murder on 2 counts, they are now going to have to decide whether or not to recommend the death penalty for these crimes. And this is in the state of Florida. So today we heard the state in their opening statements, because this is a second trial, so they had to give another opening statement. But they called the mother of this victim to the stand to talk about her daughter and her young son, to share that impact of losing Tanya and what her baby's loss had on their lives. Let's listen.
I'm angry. I'm angry because I don't have Tanya and Josiah here with me to love and joy and share my life with every day. They should have been here. Instead, I'm left with grief, sadness, and memories. That anger is part of my pain, and it will never leave me. I still have problems accepting that she's gone. I catch myself thinking that she will be here with us tomorrow, and that I hear her voice or see her smile. But tomorrow comes, and she's still not there. That reality is crushing, and it's something that I struggle with for the rest of my life. Her son, Jamar, who was only 8 years old at the time of her mother's murder, misses his mom every single day. Nothing can bring Tanya and Josiah back. The future we dreamed of, the milestones, the celebrations, the simple everyday moments have been stolen from us. I will never see my daughter raise her children. I will never see my daughter raise her children. And I will never get to hold my grandson. Our loss is permanent. And it has changed me and my family forever. The death of my pain and devastating impact this crime has had on me and my family the most important, but most importantly, my grandson, who will now be come into a life without a mother, is simply unfathomable. We will live with this grief for the rest of our life. What happened to my Tanya and Josiah will affect me forever. And I don't know how to live without her. She was my baby girl, my only girl. I will carry this pain every single day of my life. Nothing will ever take away this grief, the anger and the emptiness that their loss has left me behind. In the end, 2 innocent lives have been stolen from us, and we will never fully recover from this loss.
My mother was the closest person to me, and she was like my best friend. Also, she was always there for me. I'm here to share a few to honor my mother and talk about how I was affected. Ever since that day, ever since that day, there have been many different ways that I've been affected emotionally. For example, I've developed depression, sleeping problems, and anxiety. Losing her made me go faster than I should have. I used to hide my pain and try dealing with it on my own, and to protect myself from getting hurt more than I was. And I didn't like talking about what was wrong with me. Every day, I think about how she won't be able to see what I've accomplished and what I will accomplish in the future. She's already missed some of my milestones that I've reached, and I think that she would have been proud of them. I wish that she could have met my first girlfriend and watched me perform in my musical performances for my school. I'm in marching band. My mom was also musically inclined. She played the clarinet, and I hope that she would be proud of who I've become. On that day, I've lost more than a mother. I also lost the chance to have my mother watch me grow, and I hope that she's proud of me for coming here and talking about how this has affected me. I choose to honor my mother because she was one of the most, if not the most important people who has been in my life.
Let's bring back in the think tank, still with us here live in studio. Daryl Cohen, Meg Strickler, and Randy Kessler. And Meg, I want to start with you because during the break, you said you weren't sure how this jury was going to go. But now that we've listened to that victim impact statement, what do you think a jury is going to be feeling in terms of a punishment?
Well, first I want to just really extend I'm in awe of both those people being able to get up there and say anything. I wouldn't have been able to do that. I would have had no composure, period. Now, to answer your question, however, I don't believe in the death penalty. I don't think the death penalty, the way we have it in the United States, works. And he's going to be on an appellate role for the next, 2 decades. Let's make him suffer in prison.
Do jurors think about that, though?
I do. I do. It's too well known. Ted Bundy. How many years did that man stay on death row? You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's somebody who's famous from Florida.
Right.
Yeah, but hopefully while he was on death row, he was punishing himself every day.
No, he was getting video. He was getting interviews to 60 Minutes and those kinds of shows. I mean, that guy really loved his...
He got to live and his victims didn't.
Thank you.
Where is he now?
Dead.
Exactly where he belongs.
So where do you think this jury is going to fall? I mean, they no doubt have the cold and calculated because they have him planning it out beforehand. He shoots her, he leaves her by the side of the road. Heinous and atrocious is another aggravator that the state has to prove. But then the jury gets to decide, even if the aggravator factors outweigh the mitigating.
I think the state has all of the evidence and all of the facts. The question only is, will the number of jurors necessary to sentence him to death believe that he should be put to death? In my view, no question. Another juror could look at it a little differently, and they may say, well, it was terrible, but he doesn't deserve to die. I don't know. I know what they should do, but I don't know what they're going to do.
Did I understand this jury that's going to decide the death penalty convicted him in an hour?
They convicted him very quickly.
So the same juror that, after all this testimony, went back and after 1 hour came back and...
But we've seen differences before. We've seen quick convictions, especially in Florida, where they come to a quick guilt, but not on life or death. Sometimes they come quick with
I would think it's still a tell. I mean, it's not like somebody in the jury thought, well, I'm not so sure he did it. I'll convict, but I'm not going to go all the way on sentencing. That hurdle, the state's got to feel pretty good. They've got a jury that wants to put this guy away or put him to death.
I want to take a listen to what the defense had to say in all of this. It was, of course, emotional testimony from those victims, but Jose Soto Escalara's ex-girlfriend showed up in court to speak on his behalf.
You know, earlier today I told the judge and then later I told this jury that a lot of witnesses I was counting on didn't show up, but you are here. Why have you come?
Jose did everything during our 4-year relationship that he should have to display great characteristic of a man for my children. He would, an example of a man that I should have probably treated a little better. And I was just, I can't sleep at night knowing that he's gonna lose his life. And I was so mean to him for no reason at all.
Okay, Randy, I have to point out another thing about defense witnesses. Apparently, the defense said that many didn't get on the plane today because they were scared of retaliation and didn't show up, but they're hoping they'll show up tomorrow.
Yeah, and that was a good way he started the question. Like, thank you for showing up, pointing out to the jury that there are other people out there, but they're just afraid to come. It's sort of like when we hear people in the news say, I would testify, but my lawyer told me I couldn't. You know, so you sort of believe, well, maybe that's right. So same thing here. They're just trying to get anything they can. There are people that think he's a good guy, and here's one of them that was brave enough to come. That's about all you can do when you're in the sentencing phase.
Well, also they could be letters. They could write letters of character. They also could have done Zoom. They could have Zoomed in some videos of people.
He could have been a decent guy at one time, but clearly what he did and what he was convicted of said he is no longer a guy, much less a decent guy.
The breakdown in Florida is a little different than some states. Usually you have to have a unanimous jury, and in Florida it has changed since the Parkland school shooting. What do you think that does in terms of impacting how this could end up?
Well, clearly it makes it easier to get a death penalty if you only need 8 out of 12. We always think as defense lawyers, and when I did some defense work, I just need one, right? Get one person that's looking at me and sort of sympathizing with my client, and you feel like you got a shot. Now, boy, it's a tougher battle for the state, for the defense to try to get 5 people to all say, no, we don't want to put this guy to death. Of course, we're going to see where it ends up in ultimately the U.S. Supreme Court. But the other question is, does the state want to keep spending money? If they just put him away for good and he's life in jail, there's not as many appeals, it's not as expensive for the taxpayer.
But it's really expensive because he's not in jail, he's in prison, and that's a whole big difference. And I don't mean to fight with you,
it costs
but
money.
It's cost a lot of money to keep him there. Does it cost money more to keep him there? More to try to put him to death? Good question.
Or more to fight all the appeals.
How much can the attorneys get into that in their closing arguments?
They're not going to talk about any of that stuff. You asked me the question, I answered how I felt, but in real life, you wouldn't put that towards the jury to hear. Not in the death penalty
But do you
phase,
think
no.
it's on their mind at all?
Of course it is.
They're thinking about how much
I'm a
is this going to cost me
taxpayer.
as a
I'm tired of paying all this money, and this man is getting a free ride for what he did. Not happening.
And we've got two victims
Yeah,
here.
but you got the other side of the story, which is he's going to suffer more if he spends the rest of his life confined and never able to enjoy the freedoms that he had, like all of us. And don't you want him to suffer? You put him out of his misery by putting him to death. That lets him off the hook. So that argument's there, too.
Yeah. So we will see if those defense witnesses show up tomorrow, if they're actually going to be there on behalf of the defendant. And we'll see if they come back quicker than they did the under 2 hours that they came back with that guilty verdict. Randy Kessler, Meg Strickler, and Daryl Cohen, thanks so much for being with us. We have to get to a break. When we come back, we reach that time where we reveal something else you need to know. Plus, here's a preview of what's coming up in the next hour on VPI.
Tonight on VPI, the suspect who shot and killed a health insurance CEO in the streets of Manhattan was caught on camera committing the act. Prosecutors say the gunman is Luigi Mangione, but he's pleaded not guilty. So what will Luigi's defense be?
This is the Court TV Podcast.
Welcome back. We've reached the point in the show where we reveal something else you need to know tonight. So let's put it up on the big board. This is a story of a man who was arrested at Travis Kelce's house in connection to Taylor Swift. The man, identified as Justin Lee Fisher, was a process server, and he was arrested on September 15th after jumping the fence at the Kelce home to try and serve Taylor Swift with deposition papers. Now, those deposition papers came from the legal team of Justin Baldoni. You remember that big fiasco? He's in this civil case, embroiled in a civil suit with Taylor Swift's BFF, Blake Lively. Now, the process server was charged with, quote, jumping the fence into a private residence in a private neighborhood. The newly engaged couple, Travis and Taylor, they were reportedly inside of the residence at that time. We'll let you know what happens there. Before we end this hour, there is a picture that I want to show you. This is Jared Jaquan Burney. He's 16 years old and was last seen in Houston, Texas on September 18th. If you have any information about where Jared is tonight, please call the Houston Police Department. That number is on your screen, or you can always call 911 or 1-800-THE-LOST. Let's see if we can get Jared to a safe place tonight. And don't go away, we do have another hour of live true crime coming up on Vinnie Politan Investigates.
There you have it. If you want to see more in-depth reporting on the latest true crime stories, you can see me every weeknight, 8 p.m. Eastern on Closing Arguments. Thank you so much for downloading. And as always, please don't forget to hug the kids.
This podcast is a production of Court TV. Go to CourtTV.com for more content, trials on demand, and to find out how to watch Court TV in your area.